I'm grateful you're here today. I'm Jennifer Lee, and this is the Healing and Sharing podcast, formerly I Need Glue. If parts of your past still feel close, childhood wounds, loss, or moments that continue to shape you as you unpack them, this space was created for you. The Healing and Sharing is where women tell their stories honestly, connect through shared experience, and take steps towards healing together, letting others know they are not alone. Here, survival becomes strength. Before we begin, a gentle trigger warning. This podcast includes discussions of domestic violence, childhood trauma, and other sensitive topics. Please take care of yourself and ask for help if needed. You always come first. Thank you to Melissa Turry for composing the beautiful opening melody. To learn more, visit thehealingandsharing.com. Now let's begin today's journey. Picture this. It's 2 a.m., the world is quiet, and my phone lights up with a friend request. Half asleep? I accept it. Within a couple of days, Jax and I are sharing coffee and already talking about our gifts, the ones that have been with us since childhood, the kind that tells you to be still, listen, and then move when it's time. And speaking of moving, Jax got a message so strong she couldn't ignore it. Sell your house. Leave New Jersey. Go. She told her husband. She didn't plan it. She didn't overthink it. She trusted the voice, packed their life, and leaped into the unknown journey ahead. But faith doesn't mean easy. One moment, she was building a new life, and in a heartbeat, everything shifted. Her husband fell 30 feet and landed in a hospital bed. In an instant, she became the sole provider for her family. Fear tried to creep in, but grace was already there. Angels, too. Because surviving a fall like that, it's nothing short of divine protection. Jax knows life can flip without warnings. She also knows there's meaning woven through every mess, and she turns hers into messages. Today, she's an intuitive and spiritual guide, helping others tap into truth, peace, and purpose. Today, she's here to share her story, her gifts, and the way she learned to trust the whisper before the world even saw the miracle. Jax, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to our conversation today. I'd love to know, what do the holidays look like for you? Do you have any plans?
My holiday actually started last night, so we do both holidays. I'm by faith Jewish. My husband is not, so we get to celebrate everything. So we opened our first gifts last night. It was, it's just family time. It's so important to prioritize what's important in life because time does go super fast. To me and my husband, it really hit home. We saw this video and it said, you never know when the last time you're going to pick your kids up, the last time you're going to lay and put them to bed or hug them in public, because I have boys, so they don't let me do that. You take into perspective all of those amazing moments and really appreciate them and carve out the time for that.
I completely understand. My boys are grown, but I remember the first time I was like, hey, let's go do something fun for your birthday. And it was like, no, I just spend it with my friends. And I was like, okay, that's when I realized mom is not top priority. I can't tell him, no, you have to. Like, I have to kind of let him go. But mine quickly, Kyle, my oldest, went into boot camp. So there was no time to, I don't know, I was so looking forward to not having the parental conversations and the adult conversations. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I didn't. It was like, boom, he's gone. And then, they're deployed and everything else. And then my youngest, same thing. I was like, this is really interesting. But my youngest was here for Thanksgiving and the grandbaby and his wife. So that was amazing. But it's fast. Like, I, again, appreciate that you recognize, okay, because it does.
Yeah, we tend to forget to slow down, take a breath, and just be in the present moment, be centered, and just be happy instead of thinking, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. So write a list down so that you can pull it out of your head. It's one less thing you have to think about, and you can really spend time in the present moment with the people that matter, because again, you never know. I almost lost my husband. And so that was really, really hard for me. Being mindful of the things you say, be mindful of the things that you do, be mindful of how you react to certain situations, because you never know when or how it'll be your last.
I watched a great show on Netflix. I would love to meet the person who ever created it. And it's called Ripple. Have you seen it?
I have not even heard of it. I'm going to write that down.
It is beautiful. It talks about how we are all defined by time. We meet when we are supposed to meet. And it's so true. And it gives me chills just thinking about it. But I know you will really appreciate the message as well. And I would really love to meet the person that wrote that because it was amazing. But I did it'll be coming up. I'm going to release it soon, a round chair conversation on the Healing and Sharing channel. And it was all about when I was in high school, I worked at Kmart and one of my managers was Jewish. Now, I was born and raised Catholic, but she inspired me to go out and to really educate myself on Judaism. I was fascinated, but I wanted to respect her traditions, right? And so I did. I wrote this, I don't even know, maybe 8-page paper. Like, I didn't A on it, but that was my traditional thing. Anyway, I had to have an 8. But I invited her to our Christmas Eve, and she came. And it was amazing. And like you said, there's every reason that we can celebrate our religious beliefs and traditions together. We can learn so much from each other. So I love hearing that, you start your Jewish traditions, and then you can have the Catholic traditions and everything. I think it's amazing. And you are exposing your children to different forms of beliefs. And that's great. I didn't have that. It was like, oh, this is what we believe and nothing else. Now, as I've grown, obviously, I know that not everything we were taught is necessarily accurate. It is a very nice way of putting that.
Yes.
But I appreciate that. And when I release it, I'll let you know, because it's a beautiful story, just like what you shared as well. So I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. And, marriage is hard. Marriage takes 150% from each partner, and throwing in different religions and throwing in all of these other different aspects makes it much more difficult. For me, I wanted to make sure that we were both on the same page from the very beginning. So I had told my husband when we first started dating, I wanted a kosher home, I wanted a Jewish wedding, and I wanted to raise my children Jewish. If you're not okay with all of these things, and I was 19 at the time, if you're not okay with all these things, it's not going to work. And he says, I am not that observant. I don't believe in religion, period. So I am willing to negotiate on those terms for you. Because he was so willing, I was able to also compromise with him on celebrating his traditions. And it was something that we made work between the two of us, and for the sake of the kids, to make sure that it was a family thing. And it wasn't just, I'm celebrating this, you're celebrating that. And we really combine our beliefs and our traditions together, and we created our own traditions. But that's how you make it work. And 22 years later, we are still going strong and still celebrating both and making it work, because it's not easy out there. And with so many extra added responsibilities and pressures, and let's make the easy stuff stay easy.
You said two really important things I want to touch upon. And so one is that the husband and wife have to give 150%. But in your situation, there was a point where after your husband fell 30 feet, giving 150% wasn't possible. And then the other thing I wanted to touch upon, it's kind of a curious thing more than anything, is decades ago when I first got married, being raised Catholic, it was like, oh, you have to marry another Catholic. Otherwise it was kind of like shunned upon. And now for you, was that a similar situation or not quite so much?
Oh, yes. So, not that we were super observant, but we were definitely traditional, and it was not easy to go out of and I say religion, but it is really more of a way of life, Judaism. It's a culture, and you don't go out of your culture. It was very difficult. My parents, my grandparents especially, did not make it easy, but they saw that he made such a huge effort in coming to temple with us because he knew it was important. And I said this also, I don't want the kids saying, well, daddy doesn't have to go, so why do I have to go? So he made it a point to really be involved with everything that he knew was that it was important to me. It was important for the kids to see him being there for me and for them. And it was something that worked. And after many years, many, many years, my parents conceded and said, we see how much he absolutely loves you. And that's the most important thing, that you're in a very, very loving, secure relationship. And that trumps everything else. And the fact that I was still able to raise my children Jewish, they both had circumcisions, which is called a bris. They both had, one of them already had their bar mitzvah, the rite of passage, very similar to a confirmation. And they went to a Jewish private school for most of their life so far. So he doesn't fight me on those things. So it's something that really works well between the two of us. And yes, and going back to that other point, when he did fall 3 stories straight down, he was a solar electrician and slipped on a wet panel and went straight down. And we actually found out that he fell standing up. So if anybody here doesn't believe in miracles, I'll tell you my story. Because that is definitely a miracle in and of itself. And when I was saying 150, it has to be a balance. So if I am on a day where I can only give 100, he's going to give that other 50. If I'm on a day where I can only give 75, he's given that other half. So between the two of us, we're working back and forth to find the balance between the two of us. And when he fell, I was most of the time giving 150% of it. I had 2 small kids at the time, 7 and 2, working 2 full-time jobs, and then taking care of my husband. I believe God's not going to give you anything you can't handle. So I knew already that I was able to handle it because I had that mentality. I took it very patiently because working with somebody who is a very active person and is no longer able to be active during recovery was very frustrating for both of us. So it took a lot of patience, and I definitely believed in what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But that day, what's very interesting is that my body was already preparing itself. I had a Reiki session that morning. I was told by the Reiki specialist, I can't ground you at the end. And she's like, I've never in 20 years of doing Reiki sessions have not been able to not ground someone at the very end of the session. And I said, well, I feel okay. Let's leave it as it is. And my son had a whole bunch of appointments for doctor's appointments. So I took him to the doctor. I'm rushing around. So all day I'm running around like a monkey without, direction. And I go to the store. I'm ready to get the medication. The phone rings and it says my husband. And I went to pick it up to vent because that's what I did. I vented to him and said, I've had a day. And on the other line, it's not Matt. It's Matt's coworker. Matt just fell off the roof, and we don't know what condition he's in. I wrote down quickly the address of the hospital because he decided to fall 2 hours up north from where I was in rush hour traffic on a Thursday evening. Ran all the way over, but my body already knew that I needed to be in this fight or flight moment. It was preparing. So I listened to my body. I listened to what it needed. I was able to calmly get to the hospital and deal with that whole situation. Thankfully, he's okay. He didn't even have head, neck, or back injuries. The doctors were dumbfounded. They could not believe that he was in the condition he was in after falling 35 feet off a roof. So my body too was already in preparation of, well, we got to get into this. So I had my people, my team, my guides that were already shrouding me and protecting me and preparing me for what was going to happen.
Wow. Okay, so for the audience, can you explain to them a little bit about what Reiki is?
Sure. Reiki is energy healing, and it works within our auric field. And our auric field comes off of our body 18 inches. So when somebody says, oh, I'm walking into your space bubble and I'm feeling a little too close, it is because they are literally in your space bubble of your auric field. And when we let those in that are closest to us, it is because it's a special comfort and we allow them in our energy fields. That's our auric field. And when a Reiki practitioner works on the body, they work within that energy field to heal anything that needs to be healed, whether it's emotional, physical, or psychological.
And I think without realizing it, or maybe for others listening without naming it, we have all experienced situations where somebody gets close to us and you're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. I don't have a good feeling about this person. And you're feeling their energy. Like that's what it is, also the instincts sometimes are like, yeah, red flags. This is not,
Yes,
this is not good for you. But yeah, our energy can pick up so much. For you, when did you finally realize that, okay, I can feel energy. This is like messages, like I need to listen to this. When did you start to realize the importance of that?
I was young. I was always intuitive, and I was always able to see people, past loved ones, I should say. And I was very lucky to have had parents that didn't discourage it. They didn't encourage it per se, because it was not something that we discussed back then. It was not like you had easy access to the information of what it is that I was experiencing. So, but they didn't discourage anything that I was saying, or like, oh, you can't sit there because grandma so-and-so was sitting there, or I can see things, I feel things. So I was always very sensitive to energy. In my teenage years, my early teenage years, I blocked it because it was so scary. And there was no Google where you could just say, hey, I feel people sitting on the end of my bed. What is this? I feel most light workers prior to technology, we have experienced a little bit of a block where we go through this transition. The universe had other plans for me and said, no, this is what you're meant to be doing. This is what and who you are. So they pushed me full force at the end of my teenage years and into my early 20s. And they said, this is what you're meant to be doing. And so I started studying and I started listening to the messages that I was receiving and downloading or channeling, quote unquote. I practiced really, really long and hard because I took it as such a huge, heavy responsibility, because I was like, oh, I'm going to have other people's decisions in my hands. I need to make sure that the messages that I'm giving are accurate. The messages that I'm giving are from a pure source, that I know that it's authentic. So for many years, I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of practicing on people. And I said, okay, well, there's something to this. Now with technology, it wasn't as bad at first. And now I feel like it's back to the same full circle again, because where we didn't have a lot of information at all, now there's so much information. We're inundated with information and people don't know what to listen to. Light workers like me and you and people that are awakening are able to find sources like the people instead of just Google to listen to what they have to say based on their experiences of years and years and years. So now I've been an international leader for over 25 years. I'm an intuitive spiritual guide is what I consider myself. I'm an energy reader. So I read the imprinted energy of past loved ones, and I read the energy of anybody that is part of the one consciousness, which is everyone. I've had it since forever, as long as I can remember. And it's something that I just hold on to as a precious part of me.
A gift.
It is a gift.
Absolutely. And there are others, they don't understand it. And some of them would say, oh, that's the devil. That's evil. That's,
Yes.
And so how do you gently address people that have that thought belief? Because I don't know about you, but I respect that. I'm like, okay, I'm not here to convince you otherwise. That's not what my purpose is on this earth. So how do you address that, if you will?
I judge no one. I don't think that anybody is wrong for what they believe in. If somebody is open-minded enough to be educated and go back and forth to learn each other's views, I will have that discussion. But even with me being and I'm also a crystal healer, so even when I had crystals and people are like, oh no, that's part of the devil's work, it's God made. It's all part of the earth. If we were given these gifts, if we were given these abilities, and we all have it, everyone on this earth has the ability of intuition. It's just a matter of how much you tap into it. If it's everybody's ability, and all of our herbs and medicine and everything that was given to us, our bodies can heal itself, our herbs and crystals and everything that we have accessible to us. If it's all here that was made for us, how can it be evil? And I shouldn't say how can it be evil. So it can be used either positive or negative ways, depending on the person behind the using. But it was given to us with the idea of intention of positivity to heal. If you're leading with love and light and joy and happiness, and you're able to help somebody have clarity and confirmation that they're on the right path, or helping them tap into their own intuition so that they can recognize, which is what I do, is I help you recognize your own intuition so that you can follow what you're supposed to be doing. And I feel like for those that don't necessarily believe in it, it's either out of fear or lack of knowledge. But I don't judge them for believing whatever it is that they do believe in.
Yes, for sure. When your husband fell, and it was a miracle, obviously, that he came out of it. But in his healing process, I'm assuming you tapped into your intuition and what to do for him. And can you share maybe a little bit of what you heard and how you implemented that to help your husband?
Yeah, so I did a lot of Reiki. We did a lot of diet changes as well during the healing process. Certain foods are inflammatory. So we had a routine with him where we would do the Reiki. We would do, like I said, a very special diet and a lot of exercise. He did a lot of PT and a lot of patience, a lot of meditation, trying to keep the house as positive as possible, because when you say things and the energy within the home definitely has a huge effect on the healing process. So if you're constantly thinking negatively, oh, I'm going to be broken forever, I'm not going to heal, oh, my body hurts all the time, instead of switching that train of thought and being more positive, saying, I am young, I am strong, I am capable, I am able, really using your words and the intention of what you're saying does play a role on how to heal your body.
Yeah, the whole manifestation, you manifest by the power of your spoken word, by the visualization.
And your thoughts.
And you're right, your thoughts.
Yeah, our thoughts create our reality. So if we're constantly thinking negatively, we're going to have a negative life. If we're constantly thinking positive, and let's say we're thinking of all the benefits out of our life and grateful for what we do have instead of not grateful for what we don't have, it makes a huge difference on your healing in general. We do have full control over the healing process of our bodies and how we perceive the day.
That's like people who say, I can't afford that. I can't afford that. I can't afford that. Well, you never will.
Correct.
Because you are just convinced yourself you will never afford what it is.
I hate money too is another one. I hate money. I hate this. I hate that. Well, okay, the money's going to say, well, I hate you too.
Exactly. And one thing that I have learned, I read this amazing book. I think I might have told you about it, The Writings of Florence Scovel Shinn. But even in asking for something, I might be like, okay, I want to go to the gym. But if this is not necessarily the place that I am supposed to be, then I trust you're going to show me where it is and that the abundance will be provided so that I can go and attend. Because sometimes we're so like, this is what I want, this is what I want. And God's like, I want to give you that, but it's not that exact thing, right?
For sure.
Don't put yourself in a box.
Yeah, and don't limit yourself at all. In general, like allow things to flow and surrender to whatever the universe has in store for you. I have a funny story. So I was living in New Jersey, and out of nowhere, the universe says, I think you should sell your house. So, okay, that's a strange one. I'm living here. I'm comfortable here. My whole family is here. And I took a deep breath and I said, okay, I trust the universe. I've had sure signs that it's worked out in the past. But this was bigger than most. And just because I guess I was a little bit on the fence still, and even though I was okay with the idea, the universe says, okay, I'm going to give you more confirmation. A friend that I haven't heard from for a very long time reached out and said, hey, by the way, I just got my real estate license if you know anyone. I'm looking for, to sell a house. I said, okay, universe, I got it. Let's do it. I said, but all the other houses on my block and in my development have been on that market for like 300 days. Don't worry, the universe said, we got you. I said, okay, I trust, I surrender. 18 days later, my house sold for full asking, and we closed March 4th. 10 days later, the entire country got shut down for COVID. So I said, well, we have nothing holding us back now. My husband and I both lost our positions because of COVID. And I was working in the school system and my husband was working out in the field. So we weren't priorities. I said, we need warm weather because he had fallen. So his body couldn't take the cold anyway. I said, well, we have nothing holding us back now. Let's go. And the universe took it away from us and said, this is your opportunity. So I listened. We got full asking. We would have been stuck in the house in the cold and still with our, situation. So we took it as a sign like, this is big, this is huge, listen to the universe. Those spiking feelings in the back of your head that you get, pay attention to them, because those times where you go back and you're like, oh, I should have listened, or I had that feeling, or I knew I should have done this, and you're kicking yourself now because you didn't listen, and it's always 2020 in hindsight. Those are the things that you should be listening to. And if you constantly keep telling yourself, I shoulda, woulda, couldas, go with your first initial reaction to listen and surrender the next time you get those feelings. So you don't have to go back and say the shoulda, woulda, couldas. And the more you listen and the more you surrender and the more you follow, the more things will start aligning in your life. And the more the things will start happening in the positive way that is best for your path and your highest self.
Yes. Okay, so are you as excited about 2026 as I am?
Ooh, it's a year of a one. So it's all new opportunities. We're exiting out of a year of nine, which is, I'm sure, so many people have felt the shift of closing chapters and things, letting things go. And now we're entering the year of one in 2026. So how I get that number is you're adding the numbers of the year down to a single digit. So 6, 2, and 2 is 10, and 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. So it's the new beginnings. It's everything is going to be happening of opportunities and the starting of new chapters. And it's so exciting going into this energy.
Absolutely. And I will share this. I haven't actually put voice behind it because I'm just kind of really recognizing what it is. But as of the past couple of months, I keep changing my hair color. But I always had red, yeah, and then pink, and now it's purple. Like you can't really tell, but now I don't know. I've told my hairstylist, I was like, okay, whatever, do the same, and then it comes out more purple, which is fine. But I recognize the reason that's going on is because I'm creating almost this distraction because I know I am beginning to and going to continue to reveal things about myself that I've been holding on to. I know that's why part of the reason my back went out the worst that it ever has is because of the anger and the loss and the grief. Everything that you carry in your lower back and the front abdomen, it literally flared up. And I was like, okay, I sat with it. My friend Carolyn is like, just think about the energy that might be tied with that pain that you're feeling. And I was like, okay. And I did a round chair conversation and I just kind of opened up. I actually teared up and cried a little bit. But as I was doing that, Jax, I felt my back start to release a little at a time. And I was like, okay, revealing is healing. That's what I realized. And that is what the beginning of this journey is going to be about for me. It's time. And honestly, through my guests and my friends who have found the courage to share, it's helped me. I was like, okay, if they can do it, I was like, I can do it, right? Because we always have so much more than just one thing that we have had go on in our life. So yeah, for the first time, I'm giving my permission and I'm not guilty about it. It's okay, Jen. It's amazing.
That's so wonderful. We tend to suppress, and it does come out physically when we hold things in. By speaking your truth and speaking your story, and as difficult as it may be, it is a release. It is something of being able to let go of things that you're holding on to because it no longer serves your higher purpose. It allows and encourages you to inspire somebody else that may be struggling with the same things to let them know that they're not alone. And being able to share your story with them and saying, it's okay, and I've survived it, and I'm moving forward with my life, and it's not going to take over my energy, and I'm not giving it any more energy to grow within me. I'm releasing it out, and I'm saying, you don't have any power left in me anymore. I give you no power. That in and of itself is powerful. So I'm very excited for you to be able to share and grow and release and make room for new things.
One thing that came out of me, because literally I just sat in front of my camera, like I couldn't get to my camera fast enough Saturday morning to record. I was like, I got to brush my teeth, and I'm brushing my teeth and everything is like, I was like, okay, I'm going. And I just sat down. Nothing was scripted. It just flowed. And one of the things that I did say is that I'm sharing from a place of compassion. I'm not sharing to target somebody else or make their life miserable, whatever, even though I've carried the secrets and all of the adverse things that come along with it. I'm coming out of a place of compassion. And I think that that's really important because that shows growth and your own healing in itself versus me coming at it from a very angry position because I had anger. I knew that was part of my back thing is it would wake me up. I think because I told myself it's time, my body already started to release the adverse emotions.
That's incredible. It's incredible. It is so powerful to release and not hold on. And a lot of people say, oh, you have to work through your trauma. You have to, fix the past before you can move forward. Everybody's different. Everybody works in their own timing. And when it feels right for you to just be able to say, okay, I'm done allowing it to take over my body. I need to release this energy. I need to release the past. I don't necessarily have to work through it. Everybody does it differently. I feel that you have to be able to just release it, speak it out, whether you share it or not, but just speak it out of yourself and putting it out on paper and ripping it up and putting it in the ocean, or however you want to discard it in a fire using the elements of being able to get rid of it. So if you're just speaking it, it's with air, the element of air. And so being able to release that, it's so weightlifting. It's so cleansing. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's like emotional Weight Watchers.
Yes, I love that. I love that phrase.
Yeah, I date myself going back to Weight Watchers. I don't even know if that still exists, but
I'm going to even write that down, emotional Weight Watchers. I love it. There's so many things that we have access to being able to heal. And again, it's physical, emotional, psychological, and there's so many resources out there now. Find what works for you. Find things that resonate for you. It's not going to be like any diet, since we're on the topic of Weight Watchers. It's not a one size fits all. Everybody has to find what works for them. How do they release with an all natural way? I would say addictions and other ways of dealing with it are suppressing. So don't find ways to keep suppressing it. Find ways to work through it. Find a healthy addiction like yoga or working out or talking to a therapist or psychiatrist or an intuitive spiritual guide. Talk to someone that you can find trust and understanding, and being able to release it in a way where it feels comfortable for you to let it go, and don't make it part of your identity. Because once it becomes part of who you are as an identity, it takes over. And then you're like, well, who am I without that trauma? Who am I without all of that past? You're not that same person. You can be different. You can change. You can grow.
I just wrote my book from the place that I was. I had somebody, she was like, do you know what I like most about your book? And I said, what? She was like, you write it from a place of a survivor and not a victim. I didn't realize that because I just wrote it with where I was. And so to have somebody acknowledge that was like, oh, I was like, that's great, because that's where I want to be. And that's the angle, which is my truth, that I want to come from, because I don't, being stuck in the victimhood is awful. And being able to help people transition out of that through the ways that you just shared is so critical. I think God, between the podcast and the book, is, I know I went through everything I went through so that I could come to people authentically and with, overcoming my own situations, but then to create space for them to come and share. I don't think for me, my healing is like to do Reiki on other people and whatnot. I think God has given that to gifts to other people, like such as yourself. But that is where there is a community. And it's so important that we come together and talk about our gifts and how we can help each other, because we have service and how to help people in our heart. And at the end of the day, that is what is most important to us. For me, it's not about money. And even if I won the lotto, my husband and I were like, okay, how can we help people? Like, what would we do? I'd go around the country and give hugs, whatever. I am just really excited for both of us in regards to what 2026 has ahead of us and for the world. I think it's just going to be absolutely amazing. And I hope that people open their hearts and their minds to the possibilities. And you can still believe in God and believe in a higher power and believe that you do get messages come through, like all of it. I believe in all of it. I don't I don't put parameters on this is how it has to be and da 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 da. No, if you have love in your heart and the betterness of the world and helping people, does it really matter where it comes from, the source?
It's not an or, it's an and. So it doesn't have to be religion or spirituality. It doesn't have to be this or that. It can be an and put them together. Religion and spirituality. It's God and the gifts together. It's the two of them combined. When people are so on one side and they said it has to be this or that, it's not black or white. It's gray. There's so mix and matching in the middle. And it's so important to understand that you can have both. I struggled with that actually for a little while because in my culture, my religion of Judaism, you're not supposed to do readings. You're not supposed to give the future. You're not supposed to talk to the past either, of past loved ones. So I struggled with that for a while. And I said, but how do I have this gift and not be able to share it and still hold on to my culture? And I found a balance that I can do both. I don't have to go to the extremes, and I don't have to listen to what everybody else is saying. I listen to what resonates with me. I listen to what I'm guided to have with me. And I hope everybody does the same and not feel so stuck in not being able to experience the love and light that you would get if you surrender.
Do you meet people and have such a like, oh my gosh, I have a message for you? Like it's just screaming to come out of you?
It almost like hurts you if you don't say it.
Are people receptive when you say, listen, I have to share this with you? It's what I hear, or however that works for you?
Yes. Most of the time, even if they're not necessarily receptive at first, once they hear what I have to say, and I always start, and I'll give you an example. I was at a networking event, and I do a lot of networking because I love interacting with people and being able to connect people with other people that need each other. This woman was standing next to me, and I kind of have seen her around at other events, and she kind of assumed what I did, and I'll tell you why. She knew who I was. So she's standing next to me, and we're talking in a group of women, and I'm getting this message, and it is so strong. And they're like, you need to tell her right now. She needs to hear this. And I turned to her, I took a deep breath, and I said, hi, I'm Jax. I don't know if you know who I am or what I do, but I'm an intuitive spiritual guide. I have a message for you, and your people are telling me that you need to know this. And she's like, okay. And she was on the fence about it. And I said, you need to cut your husband some slack. And I went into this whole message for her, and the tears just started coming out, and it was like this huge release. And I said, everything is going to be okay. Things are going to be working out. Everything right now is just, it feels the way it does. And I went through this whole thing with her. She says, I must tell you, I stood by you on purpose because I knew who and what you are. And in my head, she's telling me this afterwards. In my head, I'm going, please give me a message. I need a message. Please give me a message. I need a message. And so she's like, because she's religious, so she couldn't quite feel comfortable enough at asking for a reading. So in her head, her people are like, okay, she needs something here. We need to tap in and we need to give her some intervention. I ended up meeting her husband at a couple of events later, and he gave me such a hug and a handshake. And he goes, thank you so much. It's basically, you saved our marriage. It's not necessarily, like you said before, all about the money. It's about being able to be grateful for the gift. Yes, we do have to charge. I do get a lot of that. Well, you have this gift. How do you charge for having such a gift? We live in a society and an economy that we need to be able to provide for ourselves. So I came up with an acronym. FEE is a fair energy exchange. So that's FEE. And we need to be able to have that exchange. But it's not all about the money. We do give back. And I'm not going to, because she didn't necessarily give me money right then and there, I'm not going to not give her her message. The bottom line is we're here to heal. We're here to give the messages. We're here to whatever our purpose is on this earth, to be able to help each other and collaborate with each other and work together to heal each other together is our purpose. Learn how to work together. There is enough success for everybody to be successful. We do not have to work against each other. We just have to learn how to work together, helping each other.
In asking for I love the fee.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, I have to think of something like that because I
Yeah.
struggle with that as well. It's like, okay, I'm fulfilling my purpose and everything, but I have to live as well. And I do think that if there is this concern for money, it kind of blocks the messages you're trying to get because you have this little concern over here as much as you're like, I can't hear it. It'll come. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, where do I find that little balance in there? So I love that you came up with fee. That is great.
Yeah, and it helps a lot of light workers that struggle with how much should I charge for my gift, or how do I know what to do? And you do get the extremes that charge for $500, $1,000 for a reading, which I think is insane for me personally. I don't care how well known I am. I don't want to be inaccessible and only target a certain amount of people that have the funds to do that. I feel that it should be a balance of money or an exchange of bartering. It doesn't necessarily have to be money, but there has to be an exchange of energy that each person gets a value out of that exchange, because you're expending so much of your energy tapping into giving them something out of it. And if somebody is just constantly taking and there's no exchange back, they don't see necessarily the value in it either, because they're just taking and taking. It's like a kid that has so many toys. And if one breaks, they're like, just get another one. It's no big deal. I just have so much of it. I am worth more. I've put in the time and energy and education and practice to perfect my gift. And I'm always still learning. I'm always still working on it. And those things cost a lot of money too when you get the certifications and you get all of these different things. I pay $150 an hour for a therapist, and I consider myself a therapist with insider information.
I love that. Do you have a message that's come through for our audience today by chance?
The best message that I do say, besides trust your intuition and surrendering to the universe, also protection. It does not take 4 walls and a door to create a safe, sacred space. Now more than ever, it's so important to be able to protect your energy from people around you and from yourself sometimes even. I consider them not my spirit guides, they're spirit bouncers. So picture them standing like a bouncer out of a club. And for those that are not on your list of your VIP list, those that are here not supporting you, loving you, and guiding you, they're not allowed in your safe, sacred space. Imagine that fortress around you. It's a firewall that protects you, even out wherever you are. Again, it's so important to ground and protect, especially if you're new wherever you are in your journey. So especially the newbies, if I can pass on any kind of information, that's the best and most important, because we didn't know back then to protect and ground when we first started as light workers. And it's important to make sure that you are fully protected and putting yourself in a space where you recognize what you're hearing, trust what you're hearing, and go with it. Don't hold back. Just surrender and say, I'm here, I'm for it, and I'm going to do it. And the world is your oyster, and you can absolutely achieve anything that you put your mind to. And I am here for anybody that needs guidance, because this is my purpose on earth. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to help guide and give the information that I've been given.
How can people find you?
Sempure is my company name, or Jax Fromer. So it's S as in Sam, EMPPURE.com. And you can find me on Facebook at Jax Fromer, F as in Frank, ROM as in Mary, ER. And I have my phone numbers available. I have my emails available, all on the websites, on Facebook, anywhere and everywhere, because I want to make myself accessible. I want you to know that you can reach out to ask for guidance. I do classes, I do workshops. I'm all about the education. I'd rather you ask somebody. And if you're not necessarily comfortable with me, I have a team of 4 or 5 other people that I can refer you to at any moment.
Awesome. Jax, thank you for being my guest today on the I Need Blue podcast.
It really love the flow of this energy. It's just been a pleasure. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for listening. This is Jen, host of the I Need Blue podcast. And remember, you are stronger than you think.
Some days are better than others. Wake up and you put one foot in front of the other. Same routine, same places. You just keep on pushing through it. The life you led before, putting everything on the line. Not sure if you would make it home, leaving it all up in God's hands. Just happy to see the sunrise again. Baby, lay those worries on my shoulders. It will always be okay. You have me to hold. Listen to the silence in the dark. Let it guide your way. Hear my beating heart when you're wandering, lost and afraid. You got my hand, so take hold and lean into me as I lean into you. I'll pick you up, take the pain away, mend all the seams to your scars. I'll heal you from your own thoughts. Dance in my arms, close those eyes. Imagine nothing but the soft light, stars and the moon releasing everything. Let me be your armor, shielding you, keeping you safe, making you bulletproof. Baby, lay those worries on my shoulders. It will always be okay. You have me to hold. Listen to the silence in the dark. Let it guide your way. Hear my beating heart when you're wandering, lost and afraid. You got my hands, so take hold and lean into me as I lean into you. I'll pick you up, take the pain away, mend all the seams to your scars. I'll heal you from your own thoughts. In time, the bruises of the old will blow away in the wind, be replaced with all the new. But until then, lean into me, let me be your everything. I'll keep you safe from all the harm. I'll heal you from the war, the thoughts that keep you up at